The GLE is a mid-size luxury SUV. Mercedes has been building this thing since 1997. For 2024, we get a facelift with some new interiors and some new off-roading options. Let's dive into it. All right, and the GLE for 2024 has some new trim options, including some electrified options, hybrid options. Let's go through them really quickly. So at base, you have a GLE 350 4MATIC. This has a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. Combined output is 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 7 seconds, which is pretty good for this thing, with a top speed of 130 miles an hour. You have the GLE 450 4MATIC, which is what we have here. I'll come back to that in just a second, but you also have the GLE 450E, which has a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged plug-in hybrid engine, a combined output of 381 horsepower, 479 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds, pretty amazing. Top speed of 130 miles an hour. Above that, you have a GLE 580 4MATIC. That has a 4-liter V8 with a 48-volt mild hybrid system, combined output of 510 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, top speed of 130 miles an hour. And of course, all these have the 4MATIC all-wheel drive system. Getting back to this one, the 450 4MATIC non-E, let's go ahead and pop the hood and I'll show you. And under the hood here in the GLE 450 non-E is a inline 6-cylinder engine. It is turbocharged, combined with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. Its combined output is 375 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds, and of course the 130 mile per hour top speed. And you can see some of the carbon fiber in here, that big straight 6. The turbos over there, a really nicely packaged engine. And now that we got that out of the way, before we jump in and drive it, let's first take a look at the exterior design and see what's changed with this refresh. So at first glance, this doesn't look that much changed over the previous design. The biggest giveaway are those headlights. The last GLE had some swooping headlight designs. This has a very runway looking design, and I really like it. You still have the big Mercedes logo up front with that Mercedes grille, a little bit changed front fascia, a little bit changed rear fascia. We have 2 new paint colors, twilight blue metallic and non-metallic manufacturer alpine gray, which I'm pretty sure is what we have here. This is actually so new that there's not a ton of information out there for these things, and definitely not a lot of pictures. Moving along the side, we have 21-inch rims wrapped in some 275 45 R21 tires. These are Pirelli tires, and the rear are wrapped in 315 40 R21s. When they first pulled this thing into my driveway, I really thought it was an AMG version because of how big those tires are. Those rear tires are massive. Looking along this side, you can see the gloss black side mirrors. Those can power fold. You've got gloss black roof rails. We have a metal side step and skid plate there. Of course, this is the full SUV, not the coupe, so we do have the SUV body style, a little bit more boxy. And around the rear, you can see the updated taillights, as well as the GLE 450 badge, the 4MATIC badge, and the dual exhaust. And while we're here in the rear of the vehicle, let's go ahead and take a look at the cargo volume. Power lift gate, obviously. And this is a 3-row vehicle. You can have that 3rd row up. You don't get a lot of cargo volume with that configuration. With the 3rd row down, you're looking at 33.3 cubic feet of cargo volume. You can also fold the 2nd row seating down and get a total of 74.9 cubic feet. You also do have a little cubby here that holds your privacy divider, but not really a ton of room for actual cargo. And you do have buttons for power folding rear seats. With that, let's close it back up and jump inside the 2nd row seating. Take a look at that 2nd row seating, and then we'll jump in the driver's seat and go through the rest of the interior. And first off, with the rear seats, you do have the door mounted controls. You might have seen me struggle with these as I was lifting up that third row in that quick footage. And you can push these a little bit forward, obviously your seat back, but getting into the rear seats, there is a button on the back of this seat. If you're looking to get into the third row, you push this back and it will not only go forward, it'll pop up and slowly automatically go up. And then you can see kind of the leg room and size we're dealing with in that third row, something that I'm not going to get into and I didn't make my kids get into at all. Definitely a third row in a pinch. My suggestion is if you're buying a 3-row, this probably isn't the one to do it if you're actually going to be using that third row a lot. Putting this back down is another slow process. And trust me, this is even more annoying if you've got kids and it's raining outside. Well, let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at the rest of the second row. First off, super nice interior. We'll talk more about that as we jump into the front. But here in the rear, you do get plenty of knee room, plenty of headroom in the coupe. The headroom is diminished greatly, especially here in the second row. Like I said, you have your controls here, so you can lean it back, lean it a little bit forward, give the third row a little bit more leg room by going forward. Nice materials all around. You got 2 USB Type-C charging ports, your own vents, no AC or heat controls back here in the rear, and these seats are not heated seats back here in the rear. You do have a fold-down armrest with cup holder, pockets on the back of the seat backs, but other than that, not too much else worth looking at back here. Let's go ahead and jump into the driver's seat. And as we jump in, let's first take a quick look at this. If you don't close the door all the way, it closes it for you, which for the driver is one thing, for the rear passengers is quite another. Definitely saved me from yelling at the kids or going back and having to re-close the door after they didn't do it well. But that's not the exciting part for most people. Most people are going to be excited about this interior. And what an interior it is for 2024. The GLE is getting, for the first time, interior that was previously exclusive to the Maybach GLS SUV. Again, there's not a ton of information on this thing to let me know exactly what it is, but this is a brown leather, very baseball glove feeling and looking. You've got wood trim and then black with brown stitching. Super nice. I'm gonna go ahead and pick you up, kick it on, and give you a better look around. And obviously it is push button start. And we are greeted with the same dual 12.3-inch screens. This one touchscreen, obviously this one has no need to be a touchscreen. You can also control with the pad down here for this screen. This screen is controlled through the thumb pad right here. This is the latest edition of the Mercedes Benz UX, which looks pretty much the same, looks good. You can see we have some off-road settings here for off-road modes. Super cool. Didn't get to take it off-road or anything, but definitely a new addition and really cool looking. We also have a nice 360 camera. The rear camera actually pops down from the back hatch, which I assume only is to keep it clean. So that's pretty cool, and it is a really good 360 view. Below that screen are your vents, and then your AC and heat controls. Down here you do have a wireless charger for your phone and 2 USB Type-C charging ports. Obviously you can interface with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and it is wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto as well. You have your cup holders here. Moving back a little bit further, you can see the touchpad here that I already showed you. You have your dynamic button for dynamic modes. We do have an eco mode, an off-road mode, comfort mode, sport mode, and an individual mode. You have a button here to turn your cameras on without putting it in reverse. A button for some quick functions for the vehicle, including a wash mode, manual shifting mode, downhill speed, lane keeping assist, Parktronic, active steering, and more. And then some quick buttons for favorites, navigation and radio, and your volume. You got a nice little pad here to rest your arm on. Nice and squishy, good feeling. Another little pocket here. Nice armrest. Nice size console down here with a USB Type-C charger. Steering wheel here is nice, thick, good feeling in the hands. Really nice leather here. Not a flat bottom steering wheel at all. It's not the AMG steering wheel. It's the standard Mercedes steering wheel with the touch capacitive buttons. You've got your paddle shifters back behind the steering wheel. And then of course your all digital instrument cluster that I kind of already showed. You can flip through and see a lot of different information. You can also pick between different styles, including the full navigation, assistance, or an all new off-road. Looks really good for sure. You've got your standard ambient lighting that we've seen in the Mercedes SUVs. We have no head-up display. We don't get our rear view camera in the mirror, but we do get a full panoramic moonroof with sunroof for the driver, which is always a nice bonus. With that, we've got the sucker on. Let's go ahead and take it for a drive and see what we think there. All right, guys, and first thing we'll talk about as driving this, now that we're on this rough backcountry road, is just the smoothness and quietness of this. We do have the aromatic suspension that's keeping this thing as level as possible and as smooth as possible. And that's a pretty rough road, but it does a really good job there. So it's a nice, smooth, and comfortable drive. Of course, you can put it into sport mode and really tap into that engine power. You can hear the exhaust much better, but just cruising in comfort mode, it's definitely just a comfortable cruiser. Fuel economy with this setup here should be around 20 miles per gallon city, 26 highway, and that is based on the previous year with this engine setup, because those numbers aren't released yet for the 2024. Towing capacity should be about 7,700 pounds. And again, it's just a really nice, comfortable setup here. You do have all the safety features. You've got radar guided cruise control, lane keeping assist, and it does work really well to keep you in the lanes. You've got automatic braking with pedestrian detection, parking assist features, really everything you would want. It's a really easy vehicle to drive in the city, especially with the 360 camera, being able to park easily, even in tighter spaces. It's a great vehicle up on the highway, even though the fuel economy isn't that great, although that's why we're getting some better engine options. It's a great vehicle for out here on backcountry roads where it's nice and smooth and you can really open it up, and it can be a ton of fun to drive once you put it into that sport mode. Something we can go ahead and check out now. Let's go ahead and flip it up into the sport mode. And for kicks and giggles, let's go ahead and get the sport screen up on the dash, and immediately the exhaust note comes to life. Engine is much more immediate. It's nice and quick. We'll do a 0 to 60 here in just a second. Let's get out on an empty road, but it's definitely much quicker in the sport mode. I like the exhaust. That straight 6 engine is just, it's a great setup. All right, we can come to a complete stop. We're not going to do paddle shifters. We're not doing any kind of launch control if this even has it. We're just going to slam on the gas and go and see how quickly we can get to 60. Ready, set, go. And 60. Yeah, it's a ton of fun. That probably wasn't even the best example. A little bit of lag on the takeoff, but it can be a ton of fun. And your steering's still nice, so even throwing this thing into corners, it leans. It's got some lean, but not as much as other mid-size SUVs in this segment. You can obviously go for the coupe. It's going to be a little bit more sporty, but nothing wrong with this thing. And then you can take it back and flip it down into comfort mode or eco mode. Change this back to a more soothing screen setup. Got your ambient lighting keeping you chill. And this is just a great cruiser. If you do long road trips in this thing, I have no doubts it's going to be great. We do have heated seats and cooled seats in here. Heated steering wheel, no massaging seats, but you know, sometimes you got to rough it. But with that, I think we had just about enough fun out on the roads. Let's go ahead and find a place to pull back over. We'll wrap it up with some of my final thoughts, talk about what this thing should be priced at, and we'll wrap up the video there. All right, so after a full week of driving the facelifted GLE, it's a great SUV. We don't know price specifically, although based on the 2023 models, the GLE 350 should start around $56,000. The 450 should start around $64,000, and the AMG should start around $75,000. And I actually think at the $60,000 range, this thing is a really good buy. It looks really great. The interior is amazing. Drives great. It's got the power, the get up and go that you would want. If you're looking for a 3-row, definitely don't look for this. As far as I'm concerned, it's more of a 3rd row in a pinch. But if you don't need that 3rd row, you keep them basically folded down most of the time. It's a ton of cargo space back there. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the GLE 450. I'd also like to get some seat time in one of the new plug-in hybrid systems, so if you want to see that, leave it down below and I'll try to make that happen. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We do a different review every week, plus a lot of extra bonus stuff here and there. Also go check out txgarage.com if you're into automotive reviews. We do a lot of written reviews as well as event and news coverage from a lot of great authors over there. But with that, guys, thanks for watching. GLE 450, 0 to 60. Let's go ahead and switch to the sport gauge here. Ready, go. 60.